How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Capes and Cowls. It is the Friday episode, and man, we got a lot to talk about. So if you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of things that we do on the channel, whether it's out of the theater reactions, regular reactions, movie reviews, TV reviews, interviews. I just had Jamie Campbell Bower from Stranger Things, Horizon. That was a great one. We have more interviews coming up. There's just a lot, full-on podcast that we do, so we hope that you'll be a part of it. Today, on today's show, we will be discussing the Russo brothers, man. There's a big Marvel roundup with a lot of different rumors, whether it's stuff about X-Men 97 and when that's coming out. We have a couple more things with the Daredevil series, but the Russos, there's a big rumor out at the moment that they were interested in coming back for the new Avengers movie. And apparently they were told no. And it's, well, why? It's because of budget. It's because they had someone else lined up. Was it the right move not to bring them back? We'll discuss that. We'll talk a lot about Fantastic Four. There's a lot going on with Fantastic Four and the confirmation of when it exactly, what time period it takes place. We will also discuss about the fact that it's going to be in a multiverse, in a different time, in a different New York, all in general. And then we'll talk about Comic-Con. Marvel's finally returning to Comic-Con, and what will we see at this year's Comic-Con with Deadpool coming up that weekend? What will they focus on? What kind of footage will we see? And how relevant and should Comic-Con change their panels in the way that they're presented? So we'll discuss that. And then finally, Robert Pattinson was rumored to be in The Penguin. We knew that, but everyone thought, oh, it'll be as Bruce Wayne. It'll be like a cameo as Bruce Wayne. Well, there's another rumor out that it's not going to be Bruce Wayne. It's going to be actually the Batman. So when will he show up? What will he do when he shows up? That and more on the channel here today. So it's going to be a really good show. We hope that you join us. We're excited to do it. So here we go. Let's talk about all this and more on Capes and Cowls with myself, Winston A. Marshall, and Coy Jandreau. Here we go. Everybody. Capes and Cowls. Myself, Winston A. Marshall, Coy Jandreau in the studio together as promised. Gentlemen.
Ridiculous.
How the hell are you?
We're not doing too bad, man. I am very loud to myself.
Sure. We're learning. We're adjusting.
It's working.
That was the mic gain. Oh, I see. I should turn this up. I've got Kristian's old road here so that I could have both Coy and I set up, and I'm getting used to all the stuff that RB3 used to do, guys. Yeah. So it's taking me a minute.
Also, I want to acknowledge that Winston is traditionally about a foot taller than me, but in a chair that's higher, and I look like the forced perspective Hobbit.
He's only doing that because he knows he can't get revenge on me because I'm too far away, so he's getting revenge on me to you for the little win. That's what he's getting.
That's all that is.
That's all it is.
Here's revenge. This is revenge.
See, just playing good songs. That's not revenge. This is good songs. It's good music.
That song, no.
Yeah, that's old school SEN. It's true, but it's so low. It's just like kind of like elevator music at this point. But yeah, man, we got some good things to talk about, and I'm sure. And you guys probably, if there's anything else that we're not hitting on here today, then you should bring it up for sure. I think though the main story, this thing that I saw about the Russos, I got to get into it. Let's talk about this. All right, here is an MCU rumor roundup in general. There are plans for the Defenders. There's the Russos wanting to direct Avengers 5, and Spider-Man possibly joining a new team. There is a rumor roundup with the MCU, and we have intel on Daredevil Born Again, big updates on the animated corner of the MCU. A wild claim about the Russo brothers wanting to take the helm of Avengers 5. Josh Wading over at Comic Book Movie. We've already shared some exciting MCU rumors with you today, including the possibility of the next Black Panther, but there's also some doing the rounds that it's time for another roundup. To start, we're going back to the Cosmic Circus. According to the site, Marvel Studios is not holding back with Daredevil Born Again, and the show supposedly takes bigger risks with its story than the Netflix series does. It supposedly has much higher stakes. Sticking in the corner of the MCU, it is said that neither Luke Cage nor Iron Fist will be recast if they return before Avengers Secret Wars. However, we should expect Cage to be a more prominent character as opposed to Rand, which is expected to take a backseat role. It sounds like some big Defenders-related cameos are being lined up for Daredevil Born Again. There are other miscellaneous details, including Armor Wars still being in development. Dormammu's return is being soon, Agent Wu having a very interesting character arc in a future project, and Moon Knight Season 2 shifting the action to New York before Midnight Suns. As for Wonder Man, the site describes the upcoming Disney Plus series as a combination of comedy and horror. Finally, we have an animation update from them revealing that X-Men 97 Season 2 is aiming for a summer 2025 release, and that Spider-Man will return in What If as a member of the Guardians of the Multiverse. Sticking on the side of things, Daniel Rickman reporting that the Eyes of Wakanda is set to introduce a new Iron Fist and more Greek gods. He also says Nova, Blonde Phantom, The Punisher, Wiccan, White Tiger, and Strange Tales are among the MCU TV shows currently in development for Disney+. How many of those will become a reality is hard to say, though Blonde Phantom does appear to be taking shape with both Sydney Sweeney and Taylor Swift supposedly eyed for the title role. Jeff Schneider also dropped some big news on the hot mic, saying that the Russos wanted Avengers 5. This has been backed up by My Time to Shine, Winston's favorite, who says that Marvel Studios turned down the filmmakers who helmed Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. There could be any number of reasons for that, though their recent movies going way over budget might not have helped Joe and Anthony's cause. Schneider also says that Marvel Studios Hall H panel at the San Diego Comic-Con will be movie-centric, with their TV offering saved for D23. Okay, there is a lot here, guys. Holy moly, there's a lot here. I'll start with you, Winston. Out of all that stuff, we'll let you go first. We talked about a ton of it. What do you want to talk about first? Unless you also want, what we could do is, I didn't read the report about who the next Black Panther is. I don't know if you guys know that one, if there's a spoiler in there. Should we take,
I think it's the trying to raise the kid up.
son?
I hear it's Shuri passing the mantle.
That would make sense. So at all those stories, that one included, Winston, what say you? Where do you want to go first?
Honestly, even though it sounds like one of the smaller of them, just the fact that we are potentially getting X-Men 97 Season 2 next summer, that's pretty fast when you consider, I mean, just the shows, I guess, move a little faster than like movies, but I'm just thinking about like how long it's taken to get the Spider-Man movies, you know what I mean? And things like that. Not that the animation is quite as complicated, but it's still beautiful and it takes a lot of time, you know?
I think they were pretty advanced when they announced one. That two,
Right.
you know, we'd know it was written. We know the team was the same team involved and all those things. So I imagine they probably had previs done. So we're in a position of like, it was season 1.5. Like we were
Right.
closer to ready, but why in my day, shows came out every year. So it's like nice to hear summer to summer.
That's all I'm saying. Because like all I know is that I have been in just heaven as far as TV shows this year, and knowing that we are actually in our apex right now with House of the Dragon, you know, The Bear, and The Boys all running simultaneously. You know, X-Men getting out there early. It's cool to hear that, you know, more of this is coming immediately after. So for me, the most successful thing out of all of this stuff in recent memory has been that. So that's where my attention went.
Coy?
For me, it's the Russo brothers, because I know it's fun to crap on whatever's popular. And I know that, like, you know, within a month of a director doing well, it's like, that movie's not as good as you think. But the Russo brothers are Winter Soldier, Civil War, Endgame, and Infinity War, arguably 4 out of the biggest Marvel things. And that's not, those are 4 of the biggest movies of all time. Like the $1 billion mark does get crossed more often now, but it's still insane. Like half of 1%.
It did.
I feel like, yeah, that's true.
It's about to happen. It's about to happen like probably next week.
In 4 weeks.
Inside Out.
You think Inside Out will cross?
Yeah,
It's already hit like 800. It's already hit 800 million. It was at 100 million in its second weekend.
I guess that was the problem, is that I hear the 100 and the 150 from the first two, and I'm just thinking that I thought that was like worldwide. That's just US.
That's just
It's
US.
some of the best animations ever done.
Yeah.
Like
But the $1 billion thing, like it doesn't happen often, but it was happening for a summer or two there, where it was like, oh, this movie. But at the end of the day, having that many do that is insane.
Yeah.
That said, I have been hearing, you know, that the issue is budget, and if Marvel's looking at tightening their belt a little bit, I don't think they look at things like the Netflix movies the Russos are doing and go, well, there's the return. But I would look more in-house. I wouldn't look at the properties they do outside of Marvel. I would look at their track record within Marvel. And I know a $300 million budget or whatever Endgame must have had is insane.
But it was worth it. But it earned it. It earned
Yeah, that's
it.
what I mean. Like they have proven themselves. They started with Civil War, and that wasn't the $300 million budget. Winter Soldier. That's right. Yeah,
Right.
That was the smaller budget. Like that was one of the smaller Marvel budgets, even in Phase 2. So I don't know. I think they've earned it. I think it's kind of a shame because I know they said Secret Wars was the only thing they'd come back for back in the Endgame days. So now that it's here, it's a shame that the loyalty's not in both directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird if that's the case, because if it's just a matter of the budget, it's like, hey, listen, Russos, here's the deal. We want you to come back. We like what you've done. Our budget is $250. That's it. You cannot go over. If you go over, we have to have an agreement in place that if you go over this, we're not spending any more than this. This is it. And as filmmakers, they got to go, okay, if that's the case, it's like, well, they just inflated it. Well, then we're going to make it public. We're going to tell you that we can't. You got to put anything in place. But the bottom line is, these guys have delivered on every Marvel movie that they've done. They've delivered.
And if anyone gets team dynamics to scale, it's the Infinity War and Endgame directors.
They've done it every time.
Secret Wars needs to. Now I haven't seen Deadpool yet, and I know the other name being mentioned is Sean Levy. Which, if Deadpool's as good as we hear it is, maybe there's a reason that the conversation is more like, we just had a win last year. Let's go ahead and. So maybe they're not being discussed only because Sean Levy is the kind of already foot in the door. The only thing that would make sense to me, other than the budget rumors, is if Sean Levy already has it.
That's
and
true.
They came knocking and they were like, sorry, job's taken. Like,
but that would also go back to your and it would also go back to your point of, look, we are being loyal. We're being loyal to the guy that is the guy right now in house. These are like Hall of Famers, but they're not part of the lineup right now. And so we gave it to somebody who's on the lineup and he's hitting grand slams, and we're going to let him continue to be on the All-Star team. And it's like, and that to me would make sense if that's the case. But if it's, and he still is going to cost some money, but he might not cost as much as two guys who now have done billion-dollar movies before and can say, hey, we'll come back and do it for you, but we want this, and this. We want a piece of this. And maybe they're going, well, that deal just doesn't make financially sense for us overall, besides the fact that you work with bigger budgets. Sean Levy has just done this. He can work on a smaller budget. He costs a little less. He doesn't want these points. If that's the case, business-wise, that makes sense. But I think that it's a matter of what it really is, like why they would say it. And the other side of it is maybe there was a falling out. We just don't know about it.
And also, it could be a matter of the Deadpool movie being more tied to Secret Wars than we think. We don't know what this movie is yet, and it looks like it could be insane multiversal, bringing heroes and villains together, which, hey, is Secret Wars. So It could mean this movie ends in a way that sets up Secret Wars more than any of us think, and they want tonalities to be similar. It could be Secret Wars is going to, if you, the new trailer that dropped today, this morning, there was a new trailer. It's only a minute long, and it literally is just a really cool Sabretooth versus Wolverine scene. But in that footage, it's already apparent how much they get the vibe. And if Secret Wars is that fun, oh, dude, it's so good.
It's so funny.
So good.
What is it? Oh, I didn't watch the clip. I don't want to watch anymore.
I don't want to watch anymore either. It got sent to me enough times that I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm very aware that I wish I hadn't because of how good the moment was. I'm really done.
And I just saw a trailer. This has nothing to do with comic book movies, but it just shows how trailers sometimes just like. Did you guys see that trailer for the new Zemeckis movie with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright?
It's just seen stills.
So it's like this de-aging thing, but it shows it's like the two of them in this house. They kind of you show them when they were younger, all these different, I think Paul Bettany plays the father of Tom Hanks, but it like you can see how it works with the de-aging and all that, and then it just shows them throughout their life, like going through these moments. But there's a scene that they show at the very end of it, and it's like, what'd you show that for? You just showed me the entire. Now I know exactly. It's like now I can, if I referenced a movie that it was similar to, you would know exactly what the movie is and what the movie is, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
I hadn't seen any Bear trailers, and I was editing my Bear reactions, and I went through. I was scrubbing a trailer. I did the first 3 episodes, and I was scrubbing a trailer to grab clips. And in my scrubbing of the trailer, I saw a scene that clearly hadn't happened yet in the season of the show I was watching, and it ruined the season. No. So I stopped editing. I was like, I'm just gonna post this unedited. I was done.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to show you how to just full rip the video, the
100%, because I was like, this is bananas.
I had the same issue, and with X-Men 97 when I was doing that, and so once I figured out how to that way I could I am only paying attention to this.
You're looking frame by frame when you're editing, so you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't seen that moment.
But speaking of X-Men 97, the fact I think they kind of couple off what you guys were saying before. I think they have it would make sense. This doesn't. Some people I guess initially would go, whoa, with animation, they're going to put it out that fast. And it's like, yeah, it's pretty much done. Like we know that Bo DeMeo had enough involvement in the first 2 seasons because our question always been like, what's the third going to look like? Because he's not going to be there for it. But the second one will come out next year, and it's going to be a hell of a packed year in general for all that stuff. But then
3 Marvel movies and Superman's debut,
right? And where is Daredevil? Is that 2025 or is it 2026?
Yeah.
Is it 2025?
25
next year. I think it's like spring.
So you have all this stuff. And speaking of Daredevil and the way that they're, they're taking bigger swings. I mean, how do you not get excited for that news? You know what I mean? Like,
you absolutely get excited for it. Like, especially knowing that has been consistently, when it comes to any sort of Marvel television, the gold standard. And the fact that they stopped what they were doing and said, we're about to F this up, let's go back to what works, and just and double down on that. There's no way you don't geek out by the fact that they're maxing out that budget. And that's one of the rare exceptions, like you were saying, Kristian, and like you say all the time. If you've earned that budget, and I get that the MCU, that Disney has not had direct control hand on this, but to know that they are going back to what made the Netflix one work, you've earned that budget, so do it.
Yeah. Also, it's Justin and Aaron, man. Like Benson and Moorhead. I ran into my buddy Justin Benson 2 weeks ago, and he seems so proud. He wouldn't tell me anything, which I'm so happy about, because I would not be able to sit on it for 8 months. Yeah. Like I'm good at my hype, and I'm good at knowing secrets, but I'm not good when it's so personal that it's friends I'm proud of and it's a property. Like it would be the straw on the camel's back if I knew anything. And then this. So I'm really glad I don't know anything, but I do know the pride coming out of him, and what they did with Loki season 2 is I think my favorite Marvel TV. Yeah. Next to Daredevil on Netflix. So now you're putting those 2 things together. I couldn't be more excited for Daredevil.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of the one report that will come out, and I think it came out about this, and I got tagged on it for Captain America, right? Is that Daredevil and Captain America, when you hear about their budgets, you're going to hear that Daredevil's budget is going to be insane, right? When you hear the final number.
Captain 2 shows.
That's right. And that's the same thing with Captain America. Someone just sent me a tweet, and they said that Captain America's budget is somewhere in the $330 to $400 million range or something like that. Yeah, right. It's a second movie. It's 2 movies. Yeah, they reshot the whole thing.
Movie.
They basically scrapped whatever movie they had, and they said, look, here's what we could do. We're going to basically try to break even on this movie, or even make a little money, but we have to realize we're either going to break even on it and shoot a new movie, or we're going to make this movie as it is right now with this $200 million budget, and we're going to lose money because it's not that good.
The brand is more important too. It's also it's a $400 million fixing of optics versus a $200 million accepting what is going to come out. Yeah. I think it's a much smarter move to release something once and not have to apologize. Yeah. And I think that right now Marvel can't take more gut punches. So if you're going to take a blow to the face because the money's going to be expensive, that's way better than releasing something and have the conversation be bad.
Yeah, but do you know who Marvel is thanking right now for that? Joy and Anxiety, who just gave them a little bit of cash in their pocket to play a little bit more.
Bit of cash, yeah, man. I gotta check it out.
It's great, man. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's really good. So anyway, you guys, look, all the stuff that we have here, whether it's X-Men, whether it is Daredevil or the Russos, all that stuff that we touched upon. What stands out to you guys? And do you think that the Russos, depending on what the circumstance is, should they be, no matter what, you go and you get them? Or if they're going to go with Sean Levy and let's see how Deadpool is, it's a tricky conversation. I think that our loyalty right away goes, well, those movies were so good. Why wouldn't you get the Russos back? But then again, we haven't seen Deadpool. And then if Deadpool comes out and we're like, whoa, I want to see what this guy's going to do next inside this universe. So where does it stand? Let me know. Let's geek out. Let's be nerds about it. And speaking about nerds, let me tell you about Nerd Armor. I got to tell you about Nerd Armor. It's incredible. I brought it up on the show the other day, and I'm going to show you the saber in just a bit. But I'll tell you about it. I'm going to show you the thing that I did with Mike and Steph, and then I'll tell you about AG1. Here you go. Nerd Armor. And I told you guys about this. Like, I was contacted by Nerd Armor, and look at this. This is absolutely, this is a Darth Malgus saber. Is
that it making noises?
Yeah. So check this out. This is from Nerd Armor, and it lights up.
So cool.
Yeah. And you can change. You go to the app itself, and you can change the settings. You can change the color. And it's absolutely incredible. It's pretty incredible. And you connect it to the app, you can do different sounds. It's got if I do it towards the red one also, the red saber, and you can put Palpatine's voice on it, which is amazing. And you can get all these different sound fonts, which is great, because if you buy a Pixel or a Profile Saber, the customers get over $150 in custom sound bites from JLorian.com, and you can load that into your Saber's card. It's pretty awesome. You can choose if all these different hilts. You can get Jedi, you can get Sith, and I put the link in the description, and you can definitely get a code there from me, because it's really, really amazing. And I got to tell you about AG1. You guys know AG1. I mean, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I love AG1. And people keep asking me. They notice. John even said when I started, new look, 20 pounds I lost. One of those reasons, AG1 became part of my routine. Because for a long time, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my body. It just wasn't. For me, I read labels. I verify that everything is up to the quality I need. And that is why I've stayed with AG1 for as long as I have. It is a research-backed foundational nutrition supplement, and it delivers daily nutrients, gut health support, and is backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you're putting into your body. Because I like coffee. I used to drink so much coffee to keep up, but I don't need it anymore, not as much. Because after drinking AG1, I have realized that I have all this energy and I need less coffee to power my day. It turns out I'm not alone. Because in a research study, 91% of people noticed they needed less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. That's crazy. 91% of participants noticed that they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. That's me. Energy is a majorly important reason why it comes to I need so much energy for parenting. I can tell you that right now. AG1 contains ingredients to sustain energy, so you can be the best version of yourself within each day. And it really has worked for me, and it's helped me on the plane, everything. It's easy, it's satisfying to start your journey with AG1. If you go to AG1, and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You got to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. It's the one product I trust to support my whole body health. It's AG1. Again, thank you to our friends over at AG1. Very excited to always be working with them. I have the energy right now. You see, look, guys, by the way, I'm almost under 200 pounds. I'm the first time forever. I'm at literally at 200 pounds. I lost 20 pounds. Thank you. And
I would congratulate you, but you're back in New York. You're gonna eat all that pizza.
Listen, I have been eating pizza, and I probably would be about on 190 if it wasn't for the pizza. I'll tell you, I've been walking around so much. I was walking around in the city. I was walking around. I did like a 45-minute walk to get home the other day, and it was great. But I had the energy to do it, and AG1 helps me. But what I wanted to do was walk around on the street with this thing.
I don't think you could do that, bro.
Where is it? I got it. Hold on. Wait. That's the sound of itself. Watch it. Here, check this out.
You can change the color on your phone.
Oh, cool.
You can do so much. I can keep changing it up though. Too. There's like you play with it on the app, and I just did this whole thing, so I don't want the people to see it again when it did. But you can change the sounds on it. You can change if you want to go Sith with it. This is a Darth Malgus hilt, which is This thing is. These were the ones that I used to go to the conventions, and I used to be like, one day I'm going to get one of those things. And Nerd Armor has made that dream come true. And I put it, and I have the link. It's the first thing. You got to take a look at all the different ones that they have. They've got Kenobi, they have Anakin, I asked afterwards, and I said, I got to get a Darth Revan. They go, we got Darth Revan light side. We got Revan on the dark side. I'm like, holy, I'm going to start a collection. I'm going to start total nerd it up. But this bad boy. And you can change it to total red hilt, and I was swinging it around you got to understand, I'm in a very corporate building here. And I was, and I'm downstairs, I was showing the guy downstairs. And he turned into a 12-year-old. He's he's in the lobby, swinging the thing around. It was amazing.
Sir, this is accounting.
Yeah, right.
This is accounting.
I want to get the whole damn building swinging lightsabers around here. So,
yes.
But anyway, it's the first link in the description. And the guy who owns the company was like, oh, because I talked about it on our Acolyte thing, and he's like, It's like tons of people are getting them. I'm like, good. I'm like, it's the right audience to talk to. I'll tell you that. But anyway, just wish we had a good show to talk about it. Anyway, so let's get into the next topic, because we have more to discuss in the world of comic book movies, and I want to talk about Fantastic Four. So let's do that. Let's start with this story. Fantastic Four. Kevin Feige confirms that the reboot does indeed take place on a parallel Earth. And he also reveals when shooting begins and the time period. This is from the other day. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has shared details about the Fantastic Four, revealing when shooting begins and confirming the reboot takes place in an alternate reality 1960s New York City. Kevin Feige has appeared as a guest in the first edition of the official Marvel podcast, where they were taking points beyond his excitement for Deadpool and Wolverine. But we do have an exceptionally big update for Fantastic Four. After praising filmmakers Matt Shakman, Feige revealed we start shooting at the end of July, the day after Comic-Con International San Diego. It is the first day of filming of Fantastic Four. We also know now that Marvel Studios is returning to Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con, comic book movie again. After missing the event again in 2023, Marvel Studios is officially returning to San Diego Comic-Con next month for what promises to be a huge Hall H panel. Last year, San Diego Comic-Con was forgettable because of the strikes, and while DC Studios' James Gunn has confirmed he'll be missing the event, Deadline says that Marvel Studios will be there with a splashy Hall H panel. This year's Comic-Con takes place between July 25th and July 28th, which also happens to be Deadpool and Wolverine's opening weekend. The trade has no intel on what we might see. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman will surely show up to get fans excited about their threequel. An appearance from the Fantastic Four cast, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Mossbauer, also can't be discounted. With Agatha All Along set to premiere on September 18th, a trailer for that series seems likely. We'll also be surprised if Marvel doesn't share something from Captain America, A Brave New World, and Thunderbolts, seeing as both are being released in the first half of 2025. Whether those sneak peeks are released online remains to be seen, though they typically are to combat low-quality leaks. The trade points out that Ironheart and Wonder Man have both wrapped, so those and Daredevil Born Again are surely on the table as well. As for Blade, well, that's dated for November and still needs a director. Looking after further ahead, Marvel Studios can use this opportunity to offer a glimpse at the multiverse saga slate. 26 and 27 remain a mystery beyond the Avengers movies. And then the Kang Dynasty has lost its title, yada, yada, yada. So that's the gist of it. We'll start off here with the Fantastic Four stuff, right? We all knew, or hoped anyway, that it was going to be a period piece. From the second they released that image, it seemed like a period piece. Now it's in the 60s. Great. I think that makes sense. What also makes a ton of sense is that it is in a multiverse, because otherwise... Question one, where the hell were they? How come nobody ever mentioned them in the first timeline that we ever learned about the MCU? And then question two is, by the time we get to the next Avengers movie, they're going to be so damn old that they're not even in the movie anyway. So it all makes sense, I think. Am I wrong about that, Winston?
No, I think that was 1,000% the right move, is to just set yourself up for success. Don't leave the plot hole of literally smartest man on the planet. Where the F have you been this entire time? Right. So the only thing, I guess, and you can still explain that either way, is it's like, okay, if there's infinite versions of the multiverse, there still wasn't a Reed and whatnot in this universe. Again, you can do what you want. It's storytelling, but maybe there's something there that, in multiple different comic iterations in Marvel, DC, and otherwise, you have had something where it's like, oh, I actually built this thing that like takes out other me's in other universes, so that I was the only one that survived type situation. You can end up like that. Even though I guess you saw Reed as
I think they just have a regular Reed that's like a genius, but not to scale. Like, I think there'll just be a smart guy named Reed Richards in the 6-1 or 19999.
Yeah, right. But it's like what? Where there was no Baxter Building during the Avengers. Like there was no, like, you know what I'm saying? Like something would have been there. So this is the correct move, so that you can essentially get rid of any plot holes, and then you bring them in by the time the movie's over. Or when you get the Secret Wars.
Yeah, it also makes sense for that Silver Surfer rumor. If we have the Julia Garner Silver Surfer in their universe, and we do still want to have a Norrin Rad, it would make sense that they would have a marker of we're not in Kansas anymore via a Norrin Rad not being their Julia Garner, and maybe they're running away from a Galactus that's devouring worlds that they can't stop and end up in our universe. Maybe the Silver Surfer is a key plot element of they weren't able to save their universe, and there's the guilt from that. Or they were able to, but at the cost of being like, jettisoned from it. Like there's so many plot-based elements that would allow them to be trapped outside their multiverse, and fish and water stories are great. It also opens the door for potentially Magneto and Xavier to be from a different multiverse, and that be why the X-Men weren't involved. One, the X-Men shouldn't be too involved because we don't want them to be Avengers light. But two, if you want to tell the story of, Eric Lyncher and the camps and his family and the things that wouldn't work chronologically by having the story set in 2020.
Well, on top of the fact that like if there's a lot of the rumors back and forth of, do you do like obviously not Juan Carlo now, but before it was like, do you get Juan Carlo and Denzel to be Professor X and Magneto? Then if you need to explain, okay, well, why isn't in this case Magneto, have his Holocaust origins and whatnot? Again, different universe, then you can make that argument. It just happened this particular way because it's just different there, and trying to alleviate any of the issues you foreseeably get out of doing a casting like that. So I think this is a smart move. You were just setting yourself up to not have to answer questions, and that's the most important part.
Yeah, it's plot armor. It's continuity armor.
It's nerd armor.
Yeah,
there you go.
See that? There you go.
Love this freaking thing. I'm literally, I could turn this camera off and just play with this swinging around. I love it.
And short episodes. It's because Kristian's in the background.
I'm totally admitting, super selfish that I hope there's like 50 people who buy sabers today because they're going to send me another one if they do. Anyways,
when we go visit Kristian, it's just lightsaber fights.
You'll be trying to like dive over pizza boxes and lightsaber hilts.
Sounds like an episode of Community that I want to be a part of.
Just throw it like a frisbee, but make it look like a force throw.
That's right. So yeah, I think that this is a smart move in the way that they're approaching it, and it allows you to announce. It also gives Deadpool a lot of focus. So what are they going to set up to you? Go, I wonder if they're going to do a post-credit scene for Fantastic Four in Deadpool.
That's what I would do. You just set my brain on fire because there's all this talk that the post-credit for
is what?
Deadpool and Wolverine will blow your mind, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we know Deadpool is reality hopping or universe hopping. What if like the last one they hop into, it's like, well, that's not Avengers Tower, and it says Baxter on it, and that's now. Here's our
July to next year, depending on how they set it up. Like you could have the Fantastic Four be teased multiple times, like leading up, because they know that's their big release next year.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a move. This week it was the full realization that the Deadpool premieres in New York, and I want to be there, and I don't know if I can because it comes out on Thursday, and I have panels Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Comic-Con. I'm gonna get they're going to ruin Deadpool for me. I'm going to be in nerd heaven and not having seen.
What would
Deadpool.
you do? So what would you do if you got an invite to that premiere, but you have to miss Comic-Con? Would you do it?
I would have to. I make a fifth of my yearly income at Comic-Con.
It's not the question.
The only way I live in LA is by Comic-Con, so I'd have to miss it. Like if I had to choose one or the other, I'd have to. Because I can't pay rent.
Yeah,
I gotta get on one of these panels.
Yeah, but
so yeah, all year I build the relationships to make the money I make at Comic-Con, and so it is literally Sophie's choice though, because this is the most I've looked forward to a movie in probably.
Yeah,
I mean, Spider-Man: No Way Home notwithstanding, without No Way Home 5-7 years, with No Way Home, those are the two.
Yeah.
But there's no way I'm not gonna get told everything about the movie. No Way Home, at least I got to see early, and then I kept to myself. But now
you'll see this early. So wait, when is it?
It comes out the first day of Comic-Con.
Right, the movie comes out, but the premiere will probably be a week earlier.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If I got invited, I would be able to do both.
Yeah, we
So far, checking my email a lot, Kristian.
I know. So either, but nonetheless, we're all probably going to see the movie. Hopefully, see the movie early, and then we'll do like we always do. We just haven't had a Marvel release to do it this year. But usually, what we do is we'll probably do the lead up to it. Maybe what we can do is, we'd have to probably do it pretty soon, but maybe the three of us can do watch alongs to Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 again. If we have enough time. I don't know, maybe. And then, but nonetheless, we'll watch the movie. We'll do a spoiler review for it when it comes out on that Monday, because we'll do a preview for it on the Friday Capes. And then that Monday, like we always do. I just won't do the live show with Roka that day, but we'll do a full on spoiler to where maybe, I don't know, maybe we could even potentially do it live. I have no idea, but we'll be doing stuff. We'll be doing stuff for it, no doubt. I'm excited for it, and it's going to be pretty great. So that brings up, though, as Coy mentions, Comic-Con. Marvel going back to Comic-Con, I think, is a no-brainer for a lot of different reasons. One, because they just usually are the ones who steal the show, and it would have been kind of detrimental to Comic-Con as far as that, not Comic-Con as a whole, because people that went to Comic-Con last year said it was the most pure Comic-Con since it was like its inception.
I loved last year.
That's what everybody says. How people that were there. Now, the news portion of it and all that was dead because none of the studios were there. That is something that they need Marvel. They need Marvel in Hall H, and the fact that DC's not going to be there, then I think it's smart for Marvel to even jump on it furthermore, right? I do think, though, that most of the stuff that they show at Hall H is going to be online because of exactly what Comic Book Movie said. Back in the day, like I remember when Ellis and I used to go to Comic-Con in like 2013, 2014, we would go and we'd do these videos about the exclusive footage that we saw, and we would do these videos and they would do gangbuster views because you could not find that footage anywhere. So you needed the two idiots to tell you exactly what we just saw in description form, and oh wow, okay, that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Now, because of the phones and everything else too, someone always sneaks in something, always does. And if you're Marvel, like, I don't want people to see it that way, so just release it. And that's one of the reasons I don't go to Comic-Con as much anymore for coverage-wise, because I don't need to do it. And the opposite, I'll lose out on. Like, if I would much rather on the weekend for Comic-Con be in the studio, come do a trailer reaction to something that drops. Yeah, for now, right? So, but anyway, it makes sense for them to be there. But I'll ask you, Coy, to start here. Give me your predictions on everything that you think Marvel will do. Some of the big drops, whether it's going to be a little bit more of a slate. If it's going to, I think Fantastic Four, I think they were right the first time, where it's probably just going to be a video message because they start shooting the next day. What do you think?
I think they might take a plane from Hull H to London. I think my big predictions are Fantastic Four in costume, in room.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly think they start shooting, I think, Monday. And I think if history holds up, it'll be Saturday night where Marvel has a panel. Like Saturday at 5 p.m. is usually Marvel. Like between 4 and 7 is Marvel. Like I don't know which slot they'll be, but somewhere in that range on Saturday. That gives them Sunday to get to London. So I think we'll have them there in costume.
My only pushback is you're talking California to London, all those time zones. If they got to get to work like that, that's enough lag that typically, even when you're talking about like Arsenal and Manchester United are playing here in LA, or when you have the NFL go to London or Germany or whatever, they give them a couple of days to adjust.
The Eternals flew out for the panel and flew back.
Where were they shooting?
That I don't remember, but I remember they literally took a break from
San Diego. They were shooting in San Diego.
They were shooting in
the cliffs of San Diego.
Yeah. They drove themselves, like no drivers. But I just remember they like flew in and then like left, because I remember it was really funny that Angelina Jolie walked out twice and it looked like
it is still possible, and it's even possible since you would probably only be bringing your 4 mains. You might bring your director, but you at least would have your 4 stars. There are scenes that need to be shot.
That's what I was going to say. You could have the 4 of them come out, shoot some, like maybe they haven't left yet, and tomorrow they leave to start shooting, but everybody else is filming other scenes. You give them 2 or 3 days to rest. You could do it. You could absolutely do it.
Unit on it or something.
I don't think they have. I think that the optics on the panel are so important that they need to have a strong showing. So I think in costume, especially we haven't seen the costumes yet. We've only seen the drawings. I think we also maybe have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman there.
I think that's a definite. I think that's a definite.
But I mean, in costume, I think we might have like a Deadpool and Wolverine panel, not a Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman panel.
No, yeah, I think that you probably get. I think you get Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. But what I do think is that I don't believe that the Fantastic Four cast will be there. I think it's going to be, because I think the heavy push is going to be on Deadpool and Wolverine because it's opening weekend, and I think that everybody would be so excited to see them that. I don't disagree with you that Fantastic Four is going to be the next thing that is the one that everyone's really pumped for moving forward, but you don't need to put everything on their shoulders to run the that panel. And if you can get them rested have them ready to go in London and say, hey, here's a video from them. As long as you have Hugh Jackman and Reynolds there, that will be good enough as far as people there, and then you start showing a whole bunch of footage. I think that depending on what you think of the Snyder report, because Snyder says that it's going to be more movie focused and less of the TV stuff. They're going to save that for D23, which sounds more than credible. But if you do you'll probably see Thunderbolt stuff. You'll probably see what's the other one? I
think
Captain America
shows a full sequence.
Captain America.
Yeah,
Probably.
I think we'll see like a good chunk.
I think you get a trailer. I think you're gonna get the first kind of trailer for that one because that'll it comes out in February, so I think it hits.
The 8th Blade director announcement.
And it's just Mahershala. It's Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala comes out with a new hat.
No,
well, that's when finally Jordan Peele's mysterious date was actually for Blade.
Yeah, no, or just has a shirt. Mahershala Ali says, "Fuck this, I'm doing it myself," and he does and he's directing it.
Grabs the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, they announced Mahershala as the director, and he's going to
yeah, he's just directing it himself. But I do think that they're going to. I think that Feige will bring up Blade. I think he will. I think he'll bring it up. But it's like, don't be surprised. You get a couple groans in the audience of like, sure, tell us what else we're gonna say. It's like,
I don't know why, because Jordan Peele gave no other info, and we knew that he was talking. There's a small part of me knowing specifically that his focus has been horror. It's not a terrible plan to tap him for that and to work with Mahershala. He's talked about how much he loves Mahershala.
That would be a crazy. That would be
a crazy moment.
The roof would blow off the place. The roof would blow off the place.
Yeah.
If they announce,
that's how you salvage this. I think.
But here's
if that is what is about to happen, then you do that at Comic-Con for sure.
Yeah, here's the problem with that.
Don't announce anything 5 years out. I want no announcements of 2026 or 7 or 8 or beyond. Like, stick to what's about to be out. Don't. I think they need to course correct.
Yeah, but here's the problem with the Jordan Peele announcement. If they did it, and this is we're all fantasy booking right now. But if that was the case, because I agree with it, would be amazing moment. The problem with that moment is, and why it's not realistic, is because there's no world where they're going to do that somebody like a Daniel Richtman, a Snyder, or somebody else doesn't pick that up and find out that it's going to happen. And
I mean, I hear you, but in the same breath, there was enough of a tip of the hat in that even the font and coloring at which Jordan Peele released his announcement of that date that I was like, kind of looks Blade-ish. That's always a mother effer trying to ice skate uphill, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll see. It's very interesting to see what's going to happen, and it's good that they're back. I feel and I hope, because I have a whole thing on Hall H panels in general. I think that there are two, and Coy, you're a wonderful host. You're a really, really good host. You bring good energy to it. I feel like sometimes you're in the minority though. I feel like I feel like a lot. Yeah, but I feel like a lot of times, sometimes they just bring hosts up there sometimes, and it's just like, hey, so tell me about that scene. Guys, isn't this amazing?
Dude, when it goes bad, it's so much bigger bad because of the space.
Good. Give it
I've
up.
hosted Hall H 3 times so far, and I'm hoping this year is another. But when it doesn't go well, the size of the room is suddenly apparent how bad the host is. It's like a magnifying glass to good or bad in that room.
And you'll obviously disagree with me for everything you just said as far as your income goes, but I think they need to do away with that format. I think that it needs to be a full-on kind of like show. I think it needs to be a show, like what they did.
If they hire me for the show instead,
which could be great. You come out and you go, guys, this is it. Boom, and bring it out. Kevin Feige, boom. And like the big events, and they've done it a few times with the big screens and all that, but make it more like a show, And if you're going to
make it Avengers Con from Miss Marvel.
But exactly. Make it a show in the way that that there was a couple things they did. And I always bring this up with the Bumblebee panel, which was great. And there was a couple things they did was great. A couple things is the same old host doing this. Tell me about this scene. It's like, but it's like there is that at the very end of that panel, Stan Bush from the original 1986, You Got the Touch and Dare played the music, and it was like a concert and all this. And it's like more of make it more of a show each and every time. And that's if you are sitting outside, those poor people who are sitting outside of Hall H
I've slept in that line, man,
for nights, and all they're getting is, okay, guys, now give a round of applause to this person. Going to talk to you about scenes you won't remember ever and other things that no one's going to remember them talking about because you're just waiting for the last 5 minutes for footage. Here we go. That's all it is. Every single time. You're hearing back and forth, couple laughs here and there, delirious laughter from people who haven't slept in over 24 hours. And then you get at the very end of it, everybody's just waiting for the footage.
But when it's done right, it is an hour of stuff that used to be no one else got to see. It's an hour of experiencing the cast together for the first and maybe only time, because in junkets you have them paired. But when it's done, that's what I mean by magnifying glass. When it's done right, it is an incredible experience that everyone in that room gets a unique time of experiencing chemistry and why this group is special and what it's like to be, watching people at the height of their powers entertain. It becomes a show. Look at the Loki panel. Look at Tom Hiddleston. Look at when hosts are good, how much it can elevate a property and get good press and good questions. But when hosts are bad, it's all of the examples you just gave. And that's why when the Oscars didn't have a host like 5 times, it suffered. And when the Oscars have a bad host, it suffers.
I agree.
I think hosts are, look at what we do. Hosts make or break something. Like, I really liked your interview with Vecta because it had an energy to it. Thanks, versus man. I've seen that dude do interviews where his eyes were so tired that I felt bad for him and the interviewer because the interviewer was so bad. So I think it's all, we should give less people jobs that don't deserve it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think but I also, I think there's a happy,
right.
I think
you're right, but for some reason it just came off as ice cold, bro. I just think that a lot of these people should,
find another career.
Jobs.
Maybe find another career. Maybe look over there.
But it's
live on the street.
There's a way to do a mixture of both though too, where you can do
Fandom. Remember Fandom? That was dope. I think a Fandom type event would be rad. Winston had a.
He's got gas.
To myself. To myself. It is not for public consumption. I just had a very dark thought.
Well, we'll save that.
Oh, fair. But Comic-Con, Comic-Con, I think, is either the greatest or worst example of how you market pop culture.
Yeah.
Because what you just said is exactly true for, I'd say, 70 to 80% of panels. But the 20 that hit are the ones that get the incredible write-downs of what Comic-Con can be. Those top 10 best panel of the year list, those are always the ones that had good people running it and the right people on stage. You don't want to have 5 writers that have no media training talking to a host that can barely speak. But if you've got movie stars presenting, like that hat moment with Mahershala, he said nothing.
Right.
And it felt like
it's true.
It was so powerful that it's been 5 years and nothing's changed.
Probably the problem. If he had said something, maybe the movie would have been shot.
Maybe WGA.
That's right. All right. Well, anyway, what do you guys think about all the Comic-Con talk, Fantastic Four in general? Put all your thoughts in there as we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you guys think about what we just talked about and whether you agree or disagree. All right. Before we get into another topic and we get to that Batman story, I want to tell you guys about Cremo Body Wash. I've been discussing them all week. I want to tell you a little bit more about them. Here it is. So let's talk about Cremo. So it's a body wash that I just got introduced to not too long ago, but I love it. And why? I've been working hard. And when I get and it's been hot. It's been hot. I'm stink like an alley cat. But I want to just go home. I want to take a shower. I want to relax. And I really like to just enjoy it and say, oh, I feel good. I feel clean. When my wife was like, what are you wearing? Is it a new cologne? I didn't buy any new cologne. I said, no, it's this new body wash that I got from Cremo. You want to elevate and you want to enhance your hygiene routine with Cremo Body Wash. It combines a rich lathering and hydrating formula with meticulously balanced, multi-layered fragrances for a superior shower experience. You really do just feel wonderful. You got that regular shower. It makes it feel like a luxury experience. You got the bourbon vanilla body wash right away after stinking up the joint. I was like, oh, I smell good. They have a new bourbon vanilla men's body wash, which is great, and it's worth trying out. It's like you never tried it with the scent. You'll step out of the shower and you're gonna feel like a new man. I promise you. Okay. Yeah, it's really good. And what makes it different is that it's got a distinct layered scent, and it evolves as you wash. It's great. Nice. You can find the Cremo men's body wash in its new distinctive bourbon vanilla scent at Walmart. If you go to walmart.com, that's it. Just go to Walmart or walmart.com. So make sure you check it out. It's Cremo. They're the best. So you're going to love them. All right. Thank you to our friends over at Cremo Body Wash. You can get the link in the description once again at walmart.com. Go and check it out. All right. I think this should be the last story here. This is a rumor, but it's breaking for today. And the rumor is that Robert Pattinson will return as the Batman for the Penguin Max series, not Bruce Wayne as we had speculated. He will be actually the Batman. The new rumor claims to have confirmed that the Penguin spinoff will feature an appearance from Robert Pattinson as the Batman. The Penguin, the upcoming Max spin-off focusing on Colin Farrell's take on classic DC Comics villain Oswald Cobblepot, is set to take place very soon after the events of Matt Reeves' The Batman, focusing on Oz as he attempts to establish himself as Gotham City's new crime boss. When the series was first announced, we were told that an appearance from Batman himself was unlikely, but previous rumors have now indicated that Pattinson could show up as Bruce Wayne. On the latest episode of The Hot Mic, Jeff Snyder claimed that Pattinson will indeed appear as Batman. We have no idea how a substantial role the Dark Knight will play, but we wouldn't be surprised if he only featured in a single episode. Still, fans no doubt will be pleased to hear that the Caped Crusader will play even a small part in the series, and getting Pattinson involved was a smart move on Warner Brothers' part. A Penguin-focused story could work without the Bat, but it only makes sense that Gotham's protector would drop in at least once to keep an eye on Oz and set their dynamic up for Batman Part 2. Would you see other characters such as the Riddler or Catwoman? Yada, yada, yada. We discussed this the other day when we talked about the Penguin last week, actually. And when we talked about it, we were saying, oh, yeah, look, it makes sense that he would show up. Why wouldn't he show up? Plus, it's Matt Reeves. And he's like, hey, Robert, come help me out. We got to build this series up. It's Colin. Let's do something. And we thought, which would make sense, that, hey, he's on in the background. They see him as Bruce Wayne. But showing up as a Batman, is he going to be kicking some ass, or is he going to be, or just, I don't know. What do you think, Winston?
I think he's going to be alluded to a lot, and then we'll finally get a reveal where it's needed. I think probably, if I had to guess, if we're talking in episode arc, like not like within an episode, but like the course of a season, I think he'll show up end of Act 1-ish of, so like episode, what are there, 10?
Is that
probably like
10?
Episode like 3, maybe 2 or 3.
You think he's going to show up that soon?
But because I don't think, because again, the focus is on the Penguin. I think you need to show where the Penguin is not up to snuff with what Batman is doing. And then I think he really turns it up the rest of like taking over the crime family type situation. And then you maybe will see the Cowl one more time or something like that towards the end. But you essentially, if you want it to be about the Penguin, Batman can't just be showing up all the time.
Yeah, really then it's going to be discussion about the Penguin.
Yeah.
So I think just if I'm just thinking in terms of how that would work, you either do it early in the act, so episode 1, or you do it like around 2 or 3 just to really set off the big event that like sets the rest of the season, and then there you go.
My issue with that is I think that if you're a Warner Brothers executive, you want them to tune into the show, waiting every week to say, when's he showing up, and then you build off and you go, wait a minute, this show's really awesome, I'm going to keep tuning in. Is he showing up this week? But this show's really awesome, I'm tuning in this week. All right, I really want to see him, but this show's awesome. You tune in another week, and then you finally get him at like episode 9 or 10. You're like, I'm so invested already, and there he is now too, and then that episode pops more. I think they wait until you finally get him. But Coy, what do you think?
I think there's a opportunity here to make it the Penguin show and make him overpower Batman in his own way more than once. So narratively, generally, I'd agree that you have him pop in so it stays Penguin show, but don't have him be too much. But in the current, there's a Penguin comic out right now. It's on its second to last issue. It's a 12-issue miniseries, and it's written by Tom King, who is very, very predominantly working on the DCU with James Gunn. He's the guy that wrote Supergirl. He's working on the Green Lantern show. He is clearly a voice in the main, table. I think that comic does a really interesting job of showing Penguin coming back to power in Gotham, and it's doing flashbacks to Batman basically being manipulated by Penguin, thinking Penguin is less in control than he is, and basically Penguin getting power by showing the bad guys that he is able to manipulate the Bat. So as we've met Penguin so far in the Batman, it's him as the club owner, and he's able to convince Batman of something that's not necessarily true. And he's also able to manipulate Batman's like good-natured hope for people. Even in the scene of like, why are you showing me like that scene? He's not in control, but he's not defeated by Batman's usual, the superstitious, cowardly lot of criminals. I could see Batman being manipulated in the Penguin show a couple times. That way it's the Penguin show versus how Batman would control. So I would have him early on to show, hey, you guys thought this was gonna be just Penguin being like the underbelly and this the crime. He's actually kind of running things even with Batman knowing about him. So in that case, I do it early, and then again at the end when Batman realizes like, oh no, this you can't, you're way more control than I thought. Our little deal is over, and then you get the big beatdown moment you talked about. and you advertise with the beatdown moment. That way, people are waiting on the fight, but they get the tease in the early.
Then my only other flip to that would be you show Batman episode 1, but it's not a lot. It's very quick. It's like maybe the tail end of a fight. It's maybe the Penguin reminiscing on him being like, you work on your Spanish, man. Like you get that, and then you get Bruce a couple of times throughout the series, and then maybe you get Batman again at the end, based off of what Kristian was saying about like teasing to really see Batman do something. But
all right, so Coy, I got to put you on the spot here. You, before I left, you showed up to my place with a pizza from Joe's Pizza. It's
true.
Because of a bet we made. Can you refresh my memory what the bet was?
I remembered I owed pizza, and I'm a man of honor. I don't remember what I lost. I just knew I lost a pizza.
Oh, that doesn't help, because the reason why is I am, and the audience. I got to start recording these things and putting them down. But the audience hopefully will help, because I remember pretty clear that day that Winston also owed for that day, for whatever it was. But we can't prove it, so we need to figure that out. Because the reason I
know we
that
make a lot of bets.
Nobody needs to figure nothing out.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that we need to make a bet on this one. I think this.
Okay.
I think this is a bet that we should do. What we do a DoorDash to someone's house for whatever pizza place that they want. So you do a DoorDash, but what you do is you basically get one. You can, unless we'll figure out if somebody says the same episode, but you guess which episode you think Batman's going to show up. Right? I think it's episode. Are there definitely 10 episodes?
I don't think we have confirmation.
All right, so let's say it's 10 episodes. If it's 10 episodes, I say it's episode 9. If it's 9 episodes, I say it's episode 8. It's always one. For me, it's always one before the finale.
So you're saying penultimate.
Penultimate for me. So that's my bet. Winston, you say episode 1.
I see. The problem is, I was saying act 1, like of in this course of the season. So I either think it's going to be a brief thing in episode 1, or like episode, say, like 3, whatever you would call the third point.
Pick one.
I would say that. So like fine. If it's 10, then we'll say 3. If it's 10 or 9, it's 3. If it's 8, I would say, you know what? 3. All
3.
of them.
Okay, so
8,
yours
9 or 10. I would say either. I would say 3.
All right, Winston is number 3. I am penultimate. You are.
Okay, so I have to give mine. I'm going to say mine is going to be 2 episodes, which puts me at a double or nothing situation. But I'm going to make that give me some wiggle. In that, I think it's going to be either episodes 2 or 3, but I'm doubling down because it's 2 bets.
But that's okay. But you don't need to be 2 episodes. You just need to do the first one he's going to debut in. That's all you need.
Okay, got it. Then I'll say
2.
Well, you've said 9. You've said 3. I'll say 2.
Okay. So here,
you do $1, bro.
So he just did $1. So
cameo in the first episode.
Now, how do we want it? Do you want to do it in where if nobody hits it, nobody gets anything, or the person closest to?
I think nobody hits, nobody gets. I think that's because otherwise, like, we'll have the same semantics of like.
Yeah, true. All right, that's fine. Nobody hits, nobody gets. Totally fair. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to get it, because we got a lot of wiggle room in between if nobody hits 2, 3, and then we're going to be like, don't show up.
I hope it's episode 5.
Yeah, it's like
just because F all of us.
Yeah, it's like
it's episode 5.
Don't show up. No.
And then Pattinson brings us pizza.
That's right.
Bro, Batman shows up in Peacemaker. That's what it is. It's Pattinson Batman shows up in Peacemaker, and we all lose.
Dude, I'm so excited about Grillo and so much DCU. We'll talk about that as things develop. That's so exciting.
All right. Well, it's exciting to be here with you guys, and I'm glad that Winston and Coy were able to be in the same room with us. Thank you for being here today, guys, and thank you guys in general for being here with us. You can always hit that subscribe button, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Put all your comments in there for sure. And I want to thank the guys today, of course, starting with Winston A. Marshall. Winston, where can I find you?
You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred here on YouTube and on all platforms. Man, I've been putting stuff out. I did my X-Men rewatch review went up. Nice little shout out to Capes and Cowls in there. And then I'm a little behind on some stuff just leading up. I've been, some death in the family, and I'm going on vacation. But you'll be getting. I'm going to split the bear up essentially into 2. I'll do episodes 1. What is it? 8 or 10? I can't remember. It's 10. So the first 5 and the last 5 next week, and all that good stuff. So yeah, keep an eye out for all that.
You can find me in a full-sized regular height chair over on my page at Coy Jandro, looking like a full-size human.
We'll get you a high chair next time.
At least a couple of dictionaries.
All the week's comics. This is a giant week in comics. There are 78 new comics coming out from the 5 major publishers this week, and I'm reading all 78 and giving you guys the best 9. Also covered all of the news with Green Lantern, all of the stuff with Superman, not showing picks, but also covering The Bear in 2 parts, and also covering Quiet Place. So lots of stuff come over to my YouTube, and I look forward to sleeping in August.
Exactly. So as Winston said, I will be reviewing The Bear also. I'm not breaking it up though. I'm just going to be doing seasons. Season 1 or season 1. I did season 1 already. So season 3 when it's done, I'll be reviewing that.
It is done.
Well, yeah, I know. When I finish watching it.
I was just making sure you were aware.
No, I'm aware. And then the other one was Dark Matter at May. Hey, that just turned on. I like that. Look at that. And then perfect. Wait, hold on a second. I got to play with this. Look at this. And then oh shit. Anyway,
he's literally got distracted by shiny objects, like in real time, like an actual shiny object.
Drunk with power. Look at him.
I love that Kristian just mothed himself.
I totally did. Anyway, so I'll be doing reviews of that. There's other things coming out on the channel. I think I might already have a full review of Dark Matter up at this point when this airs. Maybe not, but at least it's coming up soon. Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, rather. I am finally going to start doing those spoiler reviews. This move has been a little bit tough, but I will get to it. So thanks for joining us here. If you're into the UAP phenomena, make sure you check out our channel. It is Down to Earth with Kristian Harloff. The UAP Tuesday show is officially over there now. I have a great interview with Chris Mazzilli, who is the co-host on Robert Downey Jr.'s show on HBO Max, the Robert Downey Jr. kind of sweepstakes for the cars. He also is co-owner of the Gotham Comedy Club. We have a great conversation, another New York guy, Queens guy. So we have a really good conversation. So I hope you will join us next week for that one. So for myself, Winston and Coy, Capes and Cowls, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.